All right, we're recording. I'm going to introduce a friend of mine. I think we can say we're friends. She was referred to me through Salem Bible Church in Atlanta. Like many people that come to me, they either have cardiovascular disorders or kidney disease. So I'm going to introduce her now, Valerie Nettles.
Hello, everyone. Stephen, I just want to say before we get started, thank you for all you've done for me. Truly, thank you for all you've done for me. Just a little bit of background. I believe in divine order, and I met Dr. Joe, did the 40-day turn up, did the journey, and because he did a talk with Stephen, I was able to, on kidney disease, I was able to get in contact with him. He left his number at the end of the video, and I called him, and here we are. Here we are. My body is healing.
Yeah, it was an interesting journey. I've had tremendous success reversing kidney disease. Before that, I was running lipid clinics by request. That means a prevention clinic for cardiovascular disease. And you look at everything, diabetes, hypertension, and lipids are really particles that carry cholesterol. My dad came in, and I'd been doing that for quite a while. We really had the lowest admissions for like heart attacks in the whole state of Pennsylvania. And the Blue Cross Blue Shield quantified that. But my dad came in, he was going to a different office,
Mm-hmm.
and he was already stage 4. He was about 4 points from stage 5, which is dialysis or transplant. And the GFR was 19, GFR meaning how well the kidney filters. I didn't panic, but it was the first time I managed a kidney patient, and it was my own father in his 80s. So I'd been given some really good guidance from Dr. William Finn, really well-known nephrologist. He's actually famous internationally. And for whatever reason, he mentored me at no charge, answered a lot of questions, pointed things out. And that was probably less than 6 months before my dad came in. So I did what he told me to do. And these are non-drug therapeutics, because one of the first things when you're on dialysis, stage 5, is they use Tums because it has calcium and it binds the phosphorus. That's a mandate. But more often than not, they're not ruling out acidosis, but I used sodium bicarb with my dad, and that was it. He was already on niacin and omega-3s, and that recovered a lot of his lost heart function because he'd had a 3-stent procedure across 2 days after his heart attack. And within 2 years, he got a quintuple bypass, and they had to repair his aortic valve. They call that an annuloplasty. So he'd been through the mill, and he was in his mid-80s. Well, of course, quite often when you've had all that, you end up getting congestive heart failure. He was already showing the symptoms and classified for the earliest stage. And as physicians know, when you've got congestive heart failure, you quite often lose kidney function. And he'd probably been losing it for years, but he came into our clinic, and I talked to Dr. Dave, and so I immediately had my mother administer some Tums and some baking soda. I didn't know it came in a tablet because baking soda is sodium bicarb. And we were using an Arm & Hammer box, yellow box. I didn't know any better, but it works. And it's a little inconvenient stirring it up, and it kind of tastes nasty. And his GFR started to go up. And because of his age and everything he'd been through, what I normally see happen in 3 months or 5 months, it took 26 months, but his GFR went up from 19 to 61. So that took him from nearly stage 5 up to stage 2.
Wow.
Canceled the nephrology referral, and he lived another 6.5 years, no dialysis, Died at the age of 94. Pretty good, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Then I started focusing on that because I realized I might be able to help people. And quite simply, administer natural therapies that cost pennies a day. But the real trick is to order good blood work and urine because they often don't check the urine until they're stage 4. 90% don't even know they have kidney disease until stage 4. So back to Valerie. When we first started working together, it wasn't ideal to use sodium bicarbonate and calcium carbonate because the lab values were already at the limit and I didn't want to take a risk pushing them too high. But she did have hypertension. It wasn't well controlled. And like most people, she didn't appreciate the drug she was on, which was amlodipine. And it's not really all that safe for kidney disease. And you get edema, fluid around your ankles, dizziness, headaches. So I said, I think you might be similar to my brother and I. There's a nutritional deficiency you inherit. I can't take an over-the-counter B vitamin and activate it. So I had her buy a B vitamin. It's a test to see if you have the gene. It's $100 to order the genetic test. It was only $5 for this B vitamin. And sure enough, her blood pressure came down, I think it was 14 points.
Yeah, it was huge. It was
Yeah.
huge. It normalized. I took it for only a few days. It's amazing how the body responds, when you give it what it needs.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
God bless her. You kept a journal. I remember you had all these readings. So we were seeing it was a consistent effect. Now, to get control across the day, you need more than that one B vitamin. And I'd been experimenting with 7 separate therapeutics. I was actually taking them myself. So imagine 7 bottles. So I said, hey, it's a lot easier. It might cost $1 a day instead of 50 cents, but it's all in one capsule. And we're just getting it out and putting labels on the bottle. But she was literally the first person. And now she's got really good, consistent blood pressure control. And I mean, right around 120, right around 65. Most of her readings are at least less than 130. Now, that's as good as it gets. A lot of people are happy to get anywhere close to 130. And as we know with kidney disease, it's not all about the GFR because hers went from 23 to 38, 15 points. That means she went from stage 4 past stage 3B and up into 3A. And since the last set of lab work, she had captured a measurement of the GFR. It's still drifting up. That's a good thing.
It's still going up. Yeah, my last measure was 41
Yeah.
through my PCP. Yeah. Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
just losing it. They never see this. They never see kidneys go backwards. Well, the
Yeah.
most important marker is the urine. Because when your kidneys have any damage, even mild damage, that shows up first. If you catch it late and the patient observes bubbles in the toilet when they pass urine, they're usually stage 3 or 4 by then. But she was at one of the 3 stages for protein. They call it albumin. So it's a capital A1, A2, A3. She was at A3, 333. And it's 60
Yeah.
now. If she hits
Yes.
30, I'm betting you're
Yes.
going to hit 30.
That was a true celebration, Stephen. I mean, I've only been working with you since November of 2025, and here we are in May of 2025, 26. And in that short span of time, not only that, my bun went down. It's now normal.
Yeah,
So, I mean, my bun was extremely high. I mean, I'm just amazed at
yeah. It's
how
funny,
you
but
do. You.
if you focus on the key markers, you don't like shoot at
Hmm.
20 targets. You say, let's fix that and let's fix that. Then the other
Hmm.
stuff that's clearly out of range kind of settles in. Like, This person doesn't know I'm working. I should shut the phone off. I'm kind of uh, a dope when it comes to simple things. You ask my wife, she likes to say, "Oh, he's not that smart. You should see him when he's trying to find car keys or he can't find his glasses." But, I'm good at
And that's
this
okay. That's
nerdy
okay
stuff.
because you are a brilliant lipidologist, a brilliant
Thank you.
mind.
Sh
Yeah.
Valerie didn't have a lot of complexity in what I normally do, which is lipid management, or bad cholesterol and all that. It still moves because part of the
Mhm.
protocol is niacin. And she was taking
Yes.
that separately, not in a combination therapy. But
Hmm.
the blood pressure, we have a brand name blood pressure defender. Um, it's got all the right stuff for the blood pressure. And I designed it so that all the various types, causes, it would still control. And of course, my brother and I have this MTHFR defect, and she has it because she wouldn't have responded without that solo single B vitamin, and that saved her a lot of
Hmm.
money. And he told me, yes, it's pretty common. It's only 17%, but if you have high blood pressure, 30–40% of them have that defect. My brother and I do.
Yeah.
So we took a blood pressure medication, a drug, but we added on these other things. And I thought, if I do it right, you won't even need the drugs. And she was classic. Just, I owe you the world because I had it in my head that this would work, but I needed to see it work. And now I've got 4 or 5 other people with good blood pressure control. But that's what causes the protein in the urine. And I think that was already on its way down. But when we got the blood pressure controlled, the last set of lab work, it was an 83% improvement. They call it ACR, albumin divided by creatinine ratio, ACR.
Hmm.
It's the most important marker. And
Yeah.
when I saw that, I went, this is the real deal. She's going backwards by those 2 key parameters, the blood measurement, the GFR, and the proteinuria. And
Hmm.
she's already continuing to drift backwards. But backwards is good with kidney disease.
Oh,
And
absolutely it is.
if I can say you're stage 2 and A1, uh, you can buy me a beer, okay?
Yes. I'll
Course,
buy
you're in
you a beer now.
California, and I'm in Eastern time, so it'll be a virtual party. But
Yeah, yeah.
because there's so much skepticism,
Hmm.
nephrologists kind of look at me like I'm nuts and who the heck are you? And primary care, other specialties, they kind of get it. If you show them cases like Valerie's, their
Hmm.
head kind of explodes. You punched a hole in their reality because they've been told it's
Hmm.
like a scar that never heals, it's permanent damage, and all we can do is buy time. And
Hmm.
hopefully they don't go to dialysis. And the sad thing is, one of the statistics I read was 1% with kidney disease end up in dialysis. And you would think that's because of this fabulous healthcare system, how we manage it. No, they get a heart attack or stroke because it's a vascular disease, and that takes them down before they ever get to dialysis. Well,
Wow.
now we took all your kidney risk away while we were
Hmm.
taking away your cardiovascular risk. So your risk is
Yes.
probably 80 or 90% lower than it was in November. And
Yes.
there's a clever way of looking at that simply. Imagine you had the numbers you had today. That was probably 25 years ago.
Oh,
So
yeah. Oh,
we just,
yeah. I look
yeah,
back through my medical records just to see how long I stayed. I stayed in the 30s of filtration for a very, very long time, many years. But yeah, I haven't seen 40s in quite a few years. So
yeah.
it's a welcome change.
Yeah, and you
Definitely.
bottomed out at 23, I think was the lowest reading. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, that's
over
that
8 points.
C-statin, and that's another thing that you helped me to understand. The EGFR that the mainstream medical gives us as a lab is simply not enough. Stephen taught me about how it's the C-statin number, that EGFR, that
Right.
matters. So that was very helpful and that was very alarming. When I got that number, I was like, oh no, oh no. I got to do the work. And I honestly believe that God sent me to Dr. Joe, then to Stephen. And I'm just doing what I'm being told to do, being obedient in the the taking of the niacin and all of the other stuff. It took some getting used to, but I'm used to it now. I have better energy now. My eyes aren't as dark as they were underneath. Um, just feeling a whole lot better and hopeful. I'm retired. I retired a couple of years ago. I got grandkids. I want to live and
Oh
thrive.
man,
I do not, dialysis is not in my future.
you don't look old enough to be a grandma.
Oh yeah. I will be 62 tomorrow.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Yes.
you're right around my wife's age. She'll be
Yeah.
63 in August, the end of August.
Oh, okay.
And early August, we have our 32nd anniversary. So,
How cool. My husband and I's anniversary is August 20th.
oh, cool.
August is
Yeah,
a huge month for weddings.
yeah. Um, to step back a minute, she pointed out something really important. You got to ask for the right blood work.
The
And if you
right
don't have
blood
a
work.
pen, you might want to write this down. The word is
Mhm,
CYSTATIN. And then you write a
mhm.
dash C. CYSTATIN dash C. And here's the story, and I'll break it down simply and put it in layman's terms. Um, the GFR tells you filtration. It's a calculation. In a laboratory, when they developed the concept, they had a lot of equipment. They had to catch your urine for 24 hours. It was laborious, expensive, and of course, insurance won't touch it. So
Mhm.
they said, well, how do we calculate it, estimate it? So they knew the creatinine, which is a waste product that you normally remove when you pass urine, accumulates. Well, that tells you there's something going on in the kidneys because it's high in the blood. And based on the level, they would estimate what stage you're in. And just for the record, there's 6 stages, even though they refer to the last one as stage 5.
Oh,
So
wow.
much damage happens during stage 3, they broke it in half, 3A, 3B. So you've got 1, 2, 3A, 3B, 4, and 5. Well, they've known for probably 25 years that it has flaws and that the
Mhm,
creatinine isn't the most reliable, but that's all we had. And right
mhm.
between stage 2 and stage 4, there's a blind area. Well, you kind of get it. What does blind mean? Well, it can't see
Yeah.
accurately where you are.
Mhm,
And they
mhm.
finally said, let's do a direct GFR. They got, I believe, a grant and actually captured urine for 24 hours on all the subjects. And then they tested them with both cystatin C and creatinine. The creatinine was wrong 57% of the time. It told you you're stage 2 and you were 3A. I see it off as much as 2 stages sometimes. And they call that an error requiring restaging. Well, how do you know what stage they are if all you did was the creatinine? Well, they'd run the cystatin C on everybody and only had a
Mhm.
7% error rate. That's not zero, but no one had to be restaged. Whatever the cystatin C said, that was real. And that's why I tell
Mhm.
people if you've got blood pressure, like you're overweight, you've got prediabetes or diabetes, any risk factors, metabolic, ask for that cystatin C. And
Absolutely.
the doctor will be shocked because he thought your GFR was 65. It might be 40. You need
Mhm.
to know the truth, not have a obsolete biomarker lying to you. And when they see that, if it's lower than 60, they damn well order the urine to see how bad the damage is. And I like to have the best tools so I could do the best job. So when I'm coaching a patient, they're getting the best information. And Valerie probably knows more than most doctors do about this because if a patient's well informed,
Mhm.
it increases their motivation and they are more likely to do well because they understand the problem in some depth. That's why when I do an encounter, the first one's at least an hour, and I talk too much, but you get a lot of information, you can ask a lot of questions. Most people get 12 minutes in front of a doctor twice a year, but it takes weeks to get the job done because you have to kind of nick away at it. And then there might
Yeah.
be things we didn't evaluate on the first encounter, but we can evaluate later on. And it's just like Valerie. It was about 5.5 months, but I jumped clean off the ground when I saw her labs. I knew it was going in the right direction.
Yeah.
When I see it move that much, it's an act of God. It's really
Yes, it
like
is.
you can
Yes, it
hear
is.
harps
His
and angels,
miraculous
right?
power.
Jump in.
Yeah, it's God's miraculous power. Like I said from the beginning, I don't believe in coincidence. The way that the steps were ordered, just listening to Dr. Joe's, and I just happened to be on YouTube and I was listening to Dr. Joe's talk with Stephen on kidney disease. I could have been doing anything that day, but I believe God divinely ordered me to that video so that I can get Stephen's information. And then, and just working with Stephen. Stephen is very kind. He's very kind and patient. Something that, unfortunately, me, especially as an African American woman, I don't get that when I go to the doctor. I get 5, 10 minutes. They don't listen to me. They don't listen to what I'm telling them about my body. And I tend to go with natural. I was on amlodipine, but I've been on and off of it for a long time because I was able to control it naturally through exercise and what I eat. But they don't listen. They look at your chart, they rush you out, and it's a horrific situation, and it made me lose hope. Um, you know, uh, I'm retired, but my retirement plan is paying all this money to this health plan who does the minimum, and it's a lot of cuts in healthcare. I understand that, but this has been going on long before all of that happened.
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciate the time that Stephen takes. I really appreciate seeing labs that I've never seen in my life, pages upon pages. And the gift that Stephen has is that, being a brilliant lipidologist as he is,
A
when
nerd.
you talk to him, you'll see that. If you get in contact with him, you'll see that. The picture that he paints, he's a brilliant artist when it comes to health, to the kidneys and the heart. And he can look at all of these things. And sometimes I will say a certain thing, well, I'm feeling this or that. And he said, oh, you may need so and so. Um, he's very informative. He knows his stuff. And I know God sent me to him, so I'm trusting his direction. One of the most important things is to follow the protocol. Niacin, I have to tell the story, Stephen.
Go right
My
ahead.
first day, my
Besides,
first
you talk and I shut up, right?
my first day taking niacin, OMG. He warned me about what would happen. I
Hot
would,
flash.
yeah, I would get these flashes and all of this other stuff. And I didn't realize how much it would impact me. But it's going into your veins and it's opening up stuff and it's doing its thing. And that's how I got my cholesterol so low. But the very first time I got that redness on my arm and I called him, I sent him pictures and all of that. I'm like, Stephen, what is happening to my body?
Don't quit.
But
Don't quit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna quit. My body is now used to it. And the niacin is very important in this protocol, extremely important.
I remember
Um,
what I said to y'all in church. So we have the hot flash. Your reflex is, oh, the hell with this. You know what? God makes a lot of miracles, but the
yeah, and
natural therapies, niacin's at the top. They're all good. And he didn't
yeah,
just want to give it to you. He wanted you
hmm
to show faith.
yeah,
And that's why I would
hmm
test your faith. Because if you quit on the hot flash, not
hmm
only are you acting like a child? But I can beat the hot flash if you have the tip sheet. You know, an
Yes.
aspirin works, but Alka-Seltzer is an
Mm-hmm.
aspirin that's dissolved, so it's on board
Mm-hmm.
quick. And the applesauce, you put them together. When we
Yeah.
started the first clinic in 2003, the staff hated me. I walked in and the girls would all glare at me. Well, I asked the experts who are they're mostly retired or dead now, but back then these are the most famous guys. They all use niacin.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, what am I going to do? We're never going to find out how well it works. They said, well, I use an Alka-Seltzer, but after 2 weeks, like Val said, your body learns to tolerate it. The technical word is
Mm-hmm.
tachyphylaxis. That means how
Mm-hmm.
frequently
Mm-hmm.
drops, once a week, once a month, and the intensity drops. And eventually you
Yeah.
don't need to reverse it, but you should experience one so you know what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
the irony is, and here's God again, it's probably half the benefit because you dilated your arteries. That's part of the reason their blood pressure looked better. And it
Yeah.
cleans the arteries. They start to behave more like when you're a teenager. They stretch.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
you just got to
Mm-hmm.
get around the hot flash. You don't have to sit through one. I tell people
Yeah.
to experience it and then try the Alka-Seltzer, maybe add on the applesauce, and then
Mm-hmm.
it'll go away really fast. Well, now
Mm-hmm.
you're the lion tamer, and the lion is no longer a threat because you got
Yes.
the chair, the whip, and the gun, and the hot flash is
Yeah.
going to obey you. Well, it
Yes.
doesn't
Call
last
my
forever.
body into obedience. And for me, the thing that helped the most with the niacin is making sure I take it with a meal.
Right.
When I take it with a meal, I don't feel much of anything.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's some good science there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jump in anytime because it gets me to
Mm-hmm.
comment on it.
Yeah.
The meal raises your blood sugar, raises fats like triglycerides, free fatty acids. Well, they're going
Mm-hmm.
to spike up. And if you give it to somebody when their stomach's empty, long after the meal, some of those fats are energy for in between meals. When the glucose is
Mm-hmm.
gone, you've got free fatty acids. Well, niacin slams them to the ground, but then they bounce back up higher than they started. So you got this,
Mm.
like a stock market
Yeah.
report. If you take the niacin with the food, it's a nice sine wave, like a low wave. And
Mm-hmm.
you see less disruption of glucose. You see better lipid control because it comes from your body as well as from your diet. And it kind of helps you transition
Mm-hmm.
till it's in your bloodstream. It doesn't really delay it that much, but it kind of buffers it. Plus, niacin is essential to the body to metabolize food, proteins, and so forth. And so you're helping your body way more when you take it with food. And they did a study on that where they fed like a dog or a lab animal and tried the niacin before, during the meal, or after. And when they gave it with the meal, they were getting way more benefit with hardly any real disruption in the metabolism or hot flash. You know, they call
Mm-hmm.
it flushing. So I'm
Yeah.
still learning niacin because back then we just told them to do an Alka-Seltzer and 3 tablespoons of applesauce every time they took it.
Yeah.
And then they started calling up and saying, you know, I don't think I need it anymore
Yeah.
because the patients were teaching us. And I went,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, if you think you can get through a week and not quit from a hot flash, you know, you got a problem, go back to it. None of them did.
Yeah.
It was a week, some of them for a month. My wife took 3 months. But she wasn't treating the hot flash. And that's another thing. If you start out with a real tiny dose and build it up slowly, you'll
Yeah.
win. You'll win. Some people can go up real quick. Some people, my wife really needed to take 3 months. But as Valerie mentioned, the church, you know, African Americans, way more prevalent for kidney disease and
Yes.
cardiovascular. And the big one is LP little
Absolutely.
a. And they're only talking about it now. It's been around
Mm-hmm.
for 50 years because there's 5 drugs coming out. And they act
Mm-hmm.
like everybody's going to get it. Well, Valerie can tell you how bad insurance is. A lot of people are going to get
Absolutely.
denied, most of them, or they don't have insurance and can't afford it. It'll probably be 10 grand, 15 grand a year.
Mhm.
If you are covered and your insurance and your doctor can get you approved to put you on it, the copay will be probably $100 a month. You know, the highest dose of niacin is about $5 a month. You don't need a script. You
Yeah.
don't even need to talk your doctor into it because these days they don't know much about it anymore. They thought we don't need it anymore, which is not
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say this at my last doctor's visit. He didn't understand how I got my cholesterol down so fast. I was a 242 and now I'm a 195, 196. But the main thing is my triglycerides came way down.
Oh, yeah, it's
They
the
were
best
always out of
triglyceride.
range, always out of range, and now they're normal. And also my good cholesterol, I thought I was doing good in the 60s. 98.
Yeah,
My
mine
good
did the same thing,
cholesterol is a
almost 100.
98. Yeah, and
Isn't
he
that
he
cool?
kept pressing me to see what I was doing because he's been pushing me to take, the cholesterol medicine for years. And I refused. I refused. I was so close to being under the 200, but the more important numbers, the good cholesterol helps your body to fight, right,
Right.
Steve? And then to the triglycerides. You don't want all of that fatty stuff in your veins and your blood and all of that. So he kept pressing me, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I didn't want to tell him.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes
he
that
said,
doesn't go in the right direction.
he, but listen, I ended up telling him, I said, I'm taking a low dose of niacin. And he said, well, you better be careful because that causes this damage and that damage. And I'm just, that's all they know. That's all they know. They are taught a certain way, and the pharmaceuticals have them by the you know what. They're the ones that's pushing them to push the medicines.
Right.
And you all know, me and my husband, we laugh so hard when we see these medicine commercials. 50 million side effects.
Yeah, they
You could
have to tell
die.
you that.
Oh,
When all
you
these
could
happy
faint.
people are dancing around that they feel
Yeah, they
better.
distract you with your vision, with your eyesight. And if you pay attention to she has to talk so fast because it's 50 million side effects. And it's like, wow,
Yeah. And you know
people
what?
really take this stuff.
No wonder people are afraid of drugs. Besides, there was a fiasco with Merck and Vioxx, and they've all
Hmm.
done it. They've all paid massive fines, but they're making
Yeah,
such huge amounts of money. It's kind of
yeah.
written into the business plan. It's the cost of doing business. Well,
Hmm.
where do you think they come up with the idea for the drug? It's not imagination. The
Yeah.
first statin was called Mevacor, lovastatin.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
1% of red yeast rice is lovastatin. That's where they got the idea. And of course,
Yeah.
Merck immediately convinced the FDA to ban red yeast rice. They don't want any competition. And
Yeah.
it's about the same tolerability, and
Hmm.
because they don't have the same level of corruption in the system where
Hmm.
red yeast rice was first used hundreds of years ago.
Hmm.
It's it's like yeast in bread, only it falls on the rice. And if they leave a bowl out the next morning, it's pink, it's reddish. Well, they
Hmm.
noticed it cleared up the blood. Well, they're talking about people with high triglycerides. And the drug companies don't invent hardly anything. They look to nature, they find a mechanism or a compound, they
Hmm.
tweak it, and they take something with 20 components and take one, change the molecule a little bit, and say, oh, it's brand new. I can patent that molecule. And they
Yeah.
don't really want to cure diseases. They want you on the drug indefinitely.
They want
And
you on it indefinitely, and they're paid by other companies to make sure that you get those side effects so that they can push another drug on you.
yeah,
It's a vicious cycle, Stephen. It really is. And I
and it's
honestly believe that God placed in the earth what we need for our bodies to heal.
natural
And
therapies are almost always dirt cheap, less
yeah.
side effects.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I tell people you can take these tiny little pills you barely see in your hand, and they're toxic side effects, and they truly don't reduce the events as much as they lead you to believe. I say, well, when's the last time you had a Whopper or a big hamburger? You know, it's not health food, but the analogy is you couldn't see
Hmm.
your hand underneath it. Well, if I put all the medication today on your hand,
Hmm.
it won't cut it won't quite cover your hand. So you're happy to eat the Whopper, but you give me a hard time because there's all these capsules. Well, God made the stuff that's inside. They take a root, remove the water, put the powder in the capsule. You got to buck up, like the Bible says. When I was a child, I did childish things. And
Yeah.
the money savings is fabulous. I mean, my
Yes,
wife
it
has to
is.
take 4 grams, I take 4.5. Well, it's 6.5 cents a gram. Who can't afford that? You know, if you say, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know, I can find $5 a month. Well, quit buying cigarettes or cut down. There's your money. You know,
It's priorities, and you have to
yeah,
truly believe, that your health is worth the cost. And it's not a huge cost. I don't
yeah,
care what it costs. I'm paying out of pocket for my medical care because Kaiser, I'm sorry to mention, I tried not to, they're not doing their job.
yeah.
They're
And
they're not doing their job.
that's the entire healthcare system. And I did some research. When you have commercial insurance, probably Kaiser's no different than any other. They have
Yes.
shareholders. It's for profit. And
Yes.
there's a mandate because they have these guys that no longer practice medicine called chief medical officers. And of course, the CEO who gets 20, 30, 40 million a year. When they go to shareholder meetings, if they see the cost per patient on average has gone above 10% of their premium, they're at a loss. So they
Yeah.
squeeze everybody downhill, the doctors. This is why it really isn't the doctor's fault. I don't really blame them. And so
Yeah.
they're
They only
told to
can teach what they know.
stick with
I
a
mean, give
program,
us
write a
what they
drug.
know.
You know,
Yeah.
these are the drugs we want you to write. If they do chart pulls and they see you do anything out of line, there's retribution for that. They withhold reimbursement, or they just have a guy come in and do chart pulls, examine your charts, and say, I don't like it, you're doing that. I don't like you doing that. And I have a lot of friends that are stuck in that system, and it's made their job miserable because they know there's better ways of managing care.